haven't got that. A minute?
All right. Yeah.
I see. Call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m., April 13th. And Bill John Baker, would you do the honor of the invocation, please?
Bow with me. Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Bless each and every one that is here tonight. Help us to have an open heart and open minds to truly do your work for the Cherokee people. Please watch over our people. Please protect our soldiers overseas and at home. Give each and every one here traveling grace as they leave this meeting tonight. And if you'll guide and direct us that we might do your will, and we'll give you the glory. In Jesus' name we pray.
Roll call. Bill England. Here. Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Julia Coates.
Here.
Bradley Cobb. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk. Here. Meredith Fraley.
Here.
Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
Hannah Glory Jordan. Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Soap.
Here.
David Thornton.
Present.
Kara Callan Watts.
Bonnie,
We do have a quorum.
we have a quorum. Next order of business is approval of the March 16th regular session Tribal Council minutes.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? The minutes stand. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The minutes stand approved as written. Ms. Fishinghawk?
Madam Speaker, I'd like to move to amend the agenda in the following manner, that we take out unfinished business and all new business items prior to the State of the Nation and the reports.
Moved and seconded that we amend the agenda to have move the State of the Nation after reports. Is that what you're saying?
And, yes, Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to the motion to amend and adding new business items 27 and through 32, which were resolutions concerning resources at committee that needed, due to timeliness for grant applications, need to be had tonight. Heard tonight.
You accept that?
Accept that.
Any discussion on amending the agenda? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is action of unfinished business. We have two pieces of legislation which we can either vote to sustain or vote to override. Two pieces of legislation that the chief, what'd you do to those? that the chief has vetoed, and it takes 12 votes to override, so I would entertain a motion to override or to sustain the veto. Yes, Mr. Anglin?
I would like to move to override with respect to the chief.
Item 1,
Yes, item one.
moved to override, and it has been seconded. In discussion. Yes, Mr. Hoskin?
Madam Speaker, I hope that each of us will vote to override this veto. I think the chief set up a standard that not even the executive branch would want imposed on legislation. The chief says there's not enough specificity with respect to our legislation, but that could be true of anything that we pass. We leave it to the implementing body to come up with those fine details, and this legislation does just that. So I hope for the sake of our institution, we override this veto. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any other discussion? Chief Smith?
Yes, thank you. If I recall, the statute, or this provision, repeals the statutory requirements and provisions for travel for the council. By repealing the statute, there is no statute in place. I think we can begin with what we agree on. One is that we should replace a law with a law, rather than replace a law with a policy that is not shared with the general public. Secondly, reimbursement for expenses that incurred by the council is proper and necessary. So I have no complaint about the council providing laws or provisions that reimburse them for actual expenses. When we all swore into our respective oaths of office, we knew exactly what the position paid, what the terms of the office were, what the responsibilities were, and what the expense would be. We also have created by statute a citizen body to overview and make recommendations on elected officials' compensation, and this can be viewed as part of that. And then the third principle that I think we can all agree on is if we're changing the method and manner of compensation or reimbursement, that it should be effective for the next term, that we could not be viewed as giving ourselves a raise. So what we have at play here is a statute that provides for travel reimbursement, and what's going to be voted on tonight is to repeal that so there is no statute, and understand that there's council policy to supplement or to replace what is not a statute. That's where I have concern. I would ask the council to sustain this veto and ask that y'all, as a council, go through the process to replace this statute with another statute that reflects a policy where actual expenses are proper and necessary and are reimbursed in the course of business.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I guess I see this issue differently in that we set our own policies and procedures within the confines already of any federal guidelines or tribal guidelines. So this act, to me, allows this body to set forward how we're going to determine our travel reimbursement, whether there's mileage in district or out of district, and those things, but it still has to be by whatever the guidelines of the tribe is, same as for the employees or Chief Smith. So I see it much differently, and I'm going to support the override tonight of the Chief's veto, because I believe this is the business of the legislative branch, and unless we want to also go forth and set guidelines for the executive branch. So thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Hoskin?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me applaud you on being so generous to the chief to give him the floor as we debate this. I think it's simply nonsense that we're replacing a law with a policy as if to suggest that we've fallen short of what we need to do to replace a statute. We're replacing a statute that is not serving the purpose that it needs to serve with another statute. And from that statute, with the authority of that statute, we will adopt rules that will govern our internal policies as it respects travel reimbursement. Certainly, anything we do that's untoward, as Councilwoman Cowan-Watt says, might run afoul of federal guidelines. We may have to deal with that. The judicial branch could review anything that we adopt that might be in conflict with the statute of the Constitution. So I think that we shouldn't be moved by this idea that we're replacing a statute with a policy and that somehow that makes our this measure defective. So I do hope we override that.
Mr. Baker?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Actually, we did discuss in committee a policy that would replace this act, which I found to be completely inequitable as to the council people within the districts. So for that reason, I'm going to vote against the override.
Questions, comments?
Call the question.
Questions been called. All in favor of this as an act, roll call. We are, the motion is yes to override.
Joe Crittenden?
Yes.
Jody Fishinghawk?
Yes.
Meredith Rayleigh?
No.
Nell Fulbright,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
Yes.
Chuck Huskin Jr.,
Yes.
Tina Glory Jordan,
Yes.
Chris Soap,
No.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Kara Cowan Watts,
Yes.
Buell England,
Yes.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
No.
Harley Buzzard,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
No.
Bradley Cobb.
Yes.
We have 13 yes and 4 no.
13 yes and 4 no, so your veto is overridden, Chief Smith.
Thank you for being so generous to me, Madam Speaker.
Well, you told me to be nice to you tonight. The next veto is an act amending the Taro law, and the chief has vetoed that. I entertain a motion to override or sustain. Yes, Ms. Cowan-Watts?
Madam Speaker, I'd like to offer the chief another chance at this, so I'd make a motion that we move it back to the special rules meeting in 1 month. I believe it's May 11th at 1 p.m.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any, was that the special rules or the?
Special.
Okay. May the 11th. Mr. Baker?
Point of clarification. Todd, a little help here. Now, if we move it back to committee, we have to start all over. Is that not correct?
Yes, the effect of a motion to refer back to committee is simply that.
It's to start over.
You start over, you're in committee, and you consider this act or any other amendments in committee, and then it comes out of committee and comes to full council.
Okay. Well, that's the motion is together. Is that correct?
No,
No, motion is to move it back to committee.
this act is being moved, if this
But
passed.
if it comes back, it'll go through 2 more cycles. Pass it and possibly be vetoed again.
Yes.
It will not come back, it's just overriding the veto.
Yeah, it'll be a new act.
Okay.
Okay.
Point of information.
Yes.
Would a motion to table not override my motion to move back to?
Yes.
But if we table it, it has the same effect.
That's right.
Not for 1 month. We tabled the decision.
In order to table, the effect of a motion to table at this point would be basically to move it from the action of unfinished business on April to action of unfinished business in May.
I guess I misunderstood. I thought we had to either sustain or override, or that was only about the apple we had.
You make the rules here. You can do whatever you want to do.
Move the table.
Yeah.
Friendly amendment?
Excuse me, that's what I was arguing earlier.
What's that?
We have a motion to table.
Can I
Not
offer-
open for discussion.
Just offer a friendly amendment to table it till July, give us 2 months.
Can I do that?
That's 3 months.
Well, table it for 2 months, so that we
The
can,
June meeting.
2 months.
Can I do that?
You can do that, yeah.
I would accept that then.
All in favor of tabling this until the June rules meeting or special meeting?
This council.
This council meeting
So we're going to come back with the same thing.
in 2 months.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Chuck Huskin Jr.,
Yes.
Tina Glory Jordan,
Yes.
Chris Soap,
No.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton,
No.
Kara Cowan Watts,
Yes.
Buell England,
Yes.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
No.
Harley Buzzard,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
Yes.
Bradley Cobb,
Yes.
Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
No.
Nell Fulbright,
No.
Don Garvin.
No.
11 yes and 6 no.
11 yes, 6 no, the motion stands to carry. I mean, to the table. Next order of business is committee reports. No?
All the rest.
The rest of the agenda.
Oh, you want to put the reports last? So,
State of the Nation.
State of the Nation?
And the reports list.
Okay. So the State of the Nation is next.
New business.
Sorry, Chad.
All those are the agenda.
Okay. Old business, none pending, so we'll move to new business. All right. First two items come out of Community Services, and the first is a resolution submitting a grant application to HUD for Cherokee Elder Care in Stillwell. Mr. Buzzard, do you want to do that one?
Yes, I will. And I move for the approval of this motion. What this is a grant to submit to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for construction of a Cherokee Elder Care Center located in Stillwell next to the Wilma P. Manpiller Clinic. I'd like to recognize the other co-sponsors of Mrs. Jody Fitching-Hawk and Joe Crittenden. And I move for the approval of this resolution.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 2 is a resolution donating 29 Sony PlayStations to Cherokee community organizations. Mr. Buzzard?
Yes, this is a resolution that we have 29 PlayStations that were donated to the Cherokee Nation, and the Carter program has asked for these to be distributed out to the communities within the 14 counties to the community buildings or community organization. I asked Rick Gassaway about it, and I think he's got the policy made up how he's going to do those, so I would move for its approval.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resource Committee, item 3, we have a resolution authorizing the grant application to the Tribal Water Pollution Control Program. Ms. Calm-Watts, you want to do that one?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. This is an EPA Clean Water Act, Section 106 grant for $300,000 over 2 years. It's to do surface water education and monitoring, as well as increase our macroinvertebrate sampling on streams and such, or surface waters in the Cherokee Nation jurisdiction. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution submitting a grant application to the National Park Service for a historic preservation grant. Ms. Calm-Watts?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This grant is for ethnobotany documentation of Cherokee Nation plants important to us, and I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is a resolution submitting an application to the Bureau of Indian Affairs and Federal Highway Administration for Sequoia County Bridge. Mr. Snell.
Yes, this is it. Cherokee Nation is authorizing the Bureau of Indian Affairs and Federal Highway Administration to pursue all matters necessary to fund and replace bridge number 240047, which is herein deemed a priority for the IR Bridge Program. Move for its approval.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the leasing of trust property at the Cherokee Casino in Catoosa. Ms. Calm-Watts?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is for the lease of trust property at the Catoosa Casino to the Toby Keith Bar and Grill business. So I move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And out of Rules Committee, we have item 7 is a resolution recognizing and commending University of Oklahoma student and Cherokee citizen Sam Bradford. Mr. Jack Baker, since he's one of your constituents, you want to introduce that one?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, this is a resolution recognizing Sam Bradford, quarterback of the University of Oklahoma, for his outstanding leadership
ability and also for winning the Heisman Trophy, because he's the first Cherokee citizen to win the Heisman. And he has demonstrated exemplary character and leadership and a role model, and is a role model for all Cherokee citizens. I make a motion that we approve this resolution.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8 is a resolution for partial waiver of sovereign immunity for loan to from Bank First and the Cherokee Nation Home Health Services. Mr. Buzzard?
We had discussed this the last couple of meetings about the purchase of a care center in Jay, Oklahoma. And I think all of the details have been worked out as far as the Bank First negotiations were, so I recommend this for approval. I'll submit it as approved for this resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9 is a resolution confirming the renomination of Wayne Dunham as a Commissioner of the Housing Authority. Ms. Kalm-Watts?
Madam Speaker, if the body would so approve, I would like to recommend we make a motion, or I make a motion for number 9 to 24 in toto to be approved, and that's Wayne Dunham, Brad Carson, Dwayne King, Wilma Mankiller, and David Ballou.
Second motion.
For nominations to various boards.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Clarification.
Yes.
For the audience. David Ballou is on several boards. However, they are only extensions of the CNI board for purposes of paperwork purposes for 8A companies and things such as that. We're not just putting him to work full time. He's being the figurehead on getting some of our 8A businesses in place. Thank you.
Baker? Mr. Baker?
Madam Speaker. Also, I'd like to recognize Dwayne King, who is here. He's being nominated for an honorary board member of the Cherokee Nation Education Corporation. And I would like to recognize his presence if he would.
Do you want to stand, Mr. King? Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Kalm-Watts. Item 25 is a resolution donating surplus educational supplies from Sequoia High School to Peavine School in Adair County. Mr. Crittenden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is for some excess equipment that, according to the principal up there, that is in excess, and he'd already talked to the principal at Peavine about the use of it for the students out at Peavine, and they both are in agreement, and I think it's a good thing that we can utilize the equipment for our Cherokee students. So with that, I'd move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 26 is an act authorizing Mod 6 of the 2009 fiscal year budget. Mr. Jack Baker.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. This budget mod has we're giving Oklahoma Academy $25,000 to support their work, about $16,000 for the youth choir to go to our joint council meeting in Cherokee, Tennessee, $21,000 to the juvenile healing wellness program. We're increasing the housing proceeds by $300,000 for use for budget shortfall to use in their for the use until October 1st, 2008. We're increasing the self-governments for the real estate services for $103,000, and the HOSTA fund is a net increase of $2,200,000. I make a motion that we approve this bond.
By acclamation. Second, discussion.
Now, the $300,000 on the housing proceeds is going to the MEPA program?
Yes, it is.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. And motion carries. Now, the new items that were listed, item 27 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation to lease trust land to Facet in Adair County. Ms. Fishinghall.
Madam Speaker, Ms. Fishinghall had to leave, and she asked me if I would do this for her, and I said I'd be glad to. It's for 11 acres. It's down south of Stillwell there, where their plant is now located. And I think it's got something to do with some expansion, and it's for 25 years with an option to renew for an additional 25 years. And it will provide job growth for Adair County, and with that, I'd move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 28 is a resolution authorizing the Environmental Programs Group to submit an application to the EPA for Clean Air Section 103 funding. Ms. Calm Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If we could we do 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32 in toto?
Those all came out and passed unanimously in committee.
And so there are various environmental grant applications for like clean air, hazardous waste pickup, solid waste pickup, and cleaning up dumps. That one's like 200 tons, I believe, of dump cleanup just on the one application, and a Cherokee-led certification program. And I'd like to move all those in toto.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion on it? Yes, Ms.
Now, all of those are with no match, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Crittenden, did you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All in favor of approving 28 through 32 in toto signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we go back to State of the Nation. Woo. Tractor this week. So I worked on the tractor this weekend. Oh, you did? My legs are sore.
Thank you very much for the State of the Nation. This April 13th, 2009. I'm glad to be here during Easter week and the first days of spring here in the Cherokee Nation. Let's start tonight by honoring our fellow Cherokee citizens and friends who have passed since our last tribal council meeting. And some of those that I've been advised of include Betsy Thompson, Lydia Neal, Sammy Seven Star, Betty Flute, Rusty Love, Lefty Melton, John Barnett, William Soap Cochran, and Oleta Williams Wolf. Is there anybody else that council would like to add to that acknowledgement list? Yes.
Dick Warren Grove passed away recently. I'd like to know.
Charleston. If you will join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. We want to thank our veterans for being patient with us tonight, and we would like to first acknowledge the first one, James Cole Martin of Coffeyville, Kansas. James joined the Naval Reserve in 1957 while in high school, obviously a man of decision. He graduated from high school in 1959. In November of that year, he married Waltra Lawrence, and a month later, in December, he was called to active duty. The aircraft carrier he was assigned to in the Philippines was made up of up-to-date charts of the Gulf while on its way to deliver helicopters to Laos. He also served as an evaluator for the Combat Information Center aboard a destroyer in the fleet deployed to Japan. He says that there were many events that took place on board and far too many sea stories to tell. James is honored to be discharged in 1963. He attended college and worked as an aircraft mechanic for Southwestern Bell before entering the ministry in 1965. James is presently semi-retired but active in his ministry. He and his wife of 50 years have 3 children and many grandchildren. They now reside in Fort Gibson. Mr. Martin, would you come down and be recognized? And I understand your wife will do us the honor of pinning the medal. This is the Cherokee's highest honor of patriotism. Wish to share with you. Acknowledge your service to our country and to our nation.
Thank you. Stab me. There you go. That's good. His thing.
Would you care to say a few words, sir?
It's always been an honor to be an American. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know I had any Indian blood in me. It never connected to me. My grandfather was Cherokee. He came up to the house all the time. And for some reason, it just never connected with me. And when I finally found out, pride, it's hard to keep pride down. It gets control of you. But when I saw what's happening in the Cherokee Nation, how the advancement has taken place after all of the abuse and neglect and whatever's been going on, we've had some great leaders in our midst, and Chad Smith is one of the probably best. I think he's led us through a lot of advancement and bringing the nation on forward, and I'm just proud to be that part.
Thank you very much, sir. What Mr. Martin didn't tell you is that gave him $5 for that speech, and that his ancestry actually goes back to the Martin Jack in Tennessee in 1783. Our second veteran, I don't believe, is here tonight, but he has somebody representing him, is Jack Keyes. Jack was born at Hastings Hospital in 1939, a graduate of Tahlequah High School. Jack was quite the athlete. He was a baseball pitcher and a quarterback during football season. He played semi-pro baseball in Nebraska and Florida. Jack entered the U.S. Army in April 1962 and served with the 716th Military Police Battalion at Fort Dix, New Jersey. He received the rank of E5 and was honorably discharged in April of 1964. Jack married Janet DeCara in 1962, and they have 3 children. Jack is now retired to the game of golf and lives in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if you'll come down and let's acknowledge.
No, he's very appreciative.
Thank you so much. In terms of program highlights, the Cherokee Nation will celebrate Earth Day on April 22nd by holding a special community health fair at Sequoia Schools from 9 to noon. The event will promote healthy living and showcase health services. A special weather show hosted by News on 6 Chief Meteorologist Travis Meyer will take place from 11 to noon at the end of the health fair. So we encourage everybody to come out and enjoy that presentation. Cherokee Nation Emergency Management Group recently helped with the City of Jay when they faced a crisis with a breakdown of their water system. Cherokee Nation provided nearly 2,000 gallons of drinking water to assist the city until the water supply could be replenished. The Cherokee Nation Food Distribution Facility at Jay was activated as a staging area for the Cherokee Nation Emergency Management Program to issue the water to the city and county and Jay schools. There have been lots of inquiries about this federal stimulus funds. I want to report our programs are actively pursuing that competitive part of the grant. The grant has two functions. One is a program component which supplements basically housing and roads that we don't have to compete for. There's another class of funds that we have to have development and competitive proposals for. And I want to acknowledge Vicki Hamby and Melanie Knight, because months ago when this was an idea, we were able to gain audience with the transition team and the groups that were putting together the stimulus package to try to influence it on behalf of Cherokee country. I think we have been successful. I believe the tribe will receive $42 million in formula grants and will compete for other kinds of grants in education, law enforcement. We have other announcements this evening. A group of Cherokees will retrace the Remember the Removal project bike ride this summer. The 850-mile bike ride will retrace the historic Trail of Tears riding from Cherokee, North Carolina to Tahlequah, Oklahoma. The event is a revitalization of a previous event held in 1983 when 24 young people participated in a similar trek. Bicycles and helmets were provided for the riders, as well as meals and lodging. I believe you have to be between 16 and 24. So David Thornton, you and I have an excuse not to have to go. The deadline to apply is May 1st. For more information, contact Baron Ophil or Todd Enlow. Many Cherokee Nation officials, employees, and citizens will be traveling to Red Clay, Tennessee to participate in the 25th anniversary of the joint council meetings between the Cherokee Nation and the Eastern Cherokee Band. This meeting is part of a 3-day special festival that will include the running of the Eternal Flame from Cherokee, North Carolina to Red Clay. The event will be held between April 16th and 18th at the Red Clay State Historical Site near Cleveland, Tennessee. The meeting will commemorate the Red Clay reunion of 1984 when the Eastern Band and the Cherokee Nation came together for the first time since the National Council met at Red Clay in 1837, the last council meeting before the Trail of Tears. And Red Clay reminds me of a historic story that is hard to forget. It's a story of Jerusha Worcester, and she reminds me so much of our children when they were of her age. Samuel Worcester was one of the great patriots and non-Indian patriots that spoke in behalf of the Cherokee Nation. He came to translate the Bible into Cherokee. He was a postmaster. And when the state of Georgia commanded him to take an oath of allegiance to the Georgians, he refused, believing that he was in the sovereign Cherokee Nation under the cloak of federal authority. Unfortunately, the federal law didn't mean much to Georgia, and the Georgia Guard came repeatedly and arrested him for violating state law, which didn't apply in the Cherokee Nation, for refusing to swear to the excellency of the state of Georgia. Tired from being arrested over and over and having to make bond, he moved to Red Clay, Tennessee. And if you recall the distance, it's got to be 80 miles, isn't it, Dwayne? Well, between the time that he left his family at New Echota, he's in Red Clay, Tennessee, and before he could return to his home, Jerusha, his 6-month-old baby, died. And the story is very clear. His, an act of patriotism, was not an academic exercise, pain like being thrown in jail on occasion, but his was also an act of great personal sacrifice. I don't think any of us could ever imagine the pain, the sacrifice of sacrificing your own child for a cause. And sometimes we think back about Easter, and that is the meaning of that. And a great power, devoted to a great principle, sacrificed his own child. And so red clay to me means more than just the reunion of the Eastern-Western. It's a marker of the great pain of the Trail of Tears. And tomorrow night we will get to see vividly some remnants of that Trail of Tears, because we'll have a special showing at Northeastern State University at the Symposium of the American Indian, when there'll be a special screening of the PBS documentary, We Shall Remain. The screening starts at 7 at the Net Auditorium. And that it will actually air on PBS on April 27th. But tomorrow night, the episode on the Trail of Tears will be shown, and everybody's invited, and I hope that you can attend. Wes Studi is the lead actor. We've had many of our local folks appear in it. Cleo Deeringwater, the bus driver at Sequoia, was on set and appeared in the movie before he passed, actually, on the set. The irony of the movie, which brings great clarity to the issues then, was that Wes Studi is cast as Major Ridge. And it gives us great insight to the conflict and the philosophical differences there. I would like to introduce in a few minutes the Youth Council. They have an event that I believe that they want to share with us. And the last thing I would like to announce before a final story is that I think everybody's heard of this year's Heisman Trophy winner, Cherokee citizen Sam Bradford. Later this week we will honor Sam Bradford at an evening event at the place where they play. This is a public event and will take place this Friday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. And for more information, you can call Diana Turtle. He cannot bring gifts. We don't want to jeopardize his NCAA eligibility, but he'd be in attendance, and if we could ask for a great statement or example of leadership, we could turn no further away or closer to look at Sam Bradford. In closing, I want to, before I ask the Youth Council to address us, I want to tell you a story. I've been on the road for quite a bit in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I was getting on a plane, and once you're on the road, as Julia knows, all the airports go together and all the planes look alike, and you just keep looking at your stuff and see what seat you need to take. And so I had my 2 big bags that I always carry on as come down the runway to the airplane, and there's this young girl, and I don't think she could have been more than 20, this frail young girl. She had 2 great big bags with her and had a new baby, just a brand new baby, and later found it was only 60 days old, 2 months old. So she was struggling, and I asked her if I could help her, and she said yes. And so I carried her bags and my bags, which was a great challenge, down the aisle, hitting everybody in the way, and finally got mid-plane and put her bags up, and I sat a couple of rows ahead of her. But when the plane began to deplane and began to exit, she had the same difficulties. So I asked her again if I could help her with her bags. So we struggled the bags off the plane and down to baggage and where her mother and her sister were waiting for her. And to make some small talk on the way down, I said, well, what's your baby's name? It's a pretty little boy. And she says, Julian. And I said, you know, one of our great lawyers, one of my greatest friends, had passed on, Julian White. So he's got a good name. And she said, yes, it rhymes with mine, Lillian. So we walked down to baggage, and there's her mother and her sister just jubilant and proud to see the young mother, and they took her, and we're appreciative that somebody would take her bags. And I said, well, does your baby, are you doing a scrapbook for your baby? She said, yeah. So as I was leaving, I pulled out my official card and I handed it to her, and then walked down and didn't talk to her anymore. So what I would imagine in 20 years from now, when that child opens up its baby scrapbook, there it will see that its diaper bag was at one time carried by the Indian chief. But it's a great experience for me to see youth and happiness and things in the full blossom of spring. Thank you so much. And Madam Speaker, I think if you could recognize Tribal Youth Council for their announcements.
was is nagad was a li heli kon hiti looking kasnul wai tawton so the west katu so the test to lui talaki ayes get the time. I'm here to talk about to tell you all about how our powwow went. On March the 28th, 2009, the Cherokee Nation Tribal Youth Council hosted its second annual youth contest powwow in Tahlequah. The event is one of the youth council's largest events. Even though this powwow is a fundraiser for the youth council itself, it also allows Native American youth to openly express their individual dances in a community-style atmosphere. Without the funding that we received from the council, this event may not have been possible. Although the weather took a turn for the worst, we still had a good turnout. The powwow made approximately $800 for the youth council after all of our expenses were paid out. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
Hold on.
Thank you, J.C. Danielle, were you?
I'm here to introduce to you a very big event for the Youth Council. We have taken on the task of hosting a banquet this summer. The projected date is June 20th, and this banquet will be held to honor a woman of high esteem. The funds that are raised from this banquet will go to benefit the John Ketcher Youth Shelter. The Youth Council is currently seeking nominations for our award. The award is called the Uskedi Agehi Award, which means Woman of High Esteem. You previously received a nomination form. The Cherokee Nation Tribal Youth Council is looking for women who we can recognize for their commitment to the Cherokee people and their outstanding achievements in their community and to the Cherokee Nation. The nominees should be a registered Cherokee Nation citizen and reside within the 14-county jurisdiction. Like I said, our honoree will be honored at our banquet on June 20th, and our Youth Council would greatly appreciate it if you could circulate the nomination forms throughout each one of your communities. And these documents and the banquet nomination form is due by May 8th, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Ms. Calm-Watts.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cole. Will they be emailed to us?
I can email them if you would prefer that, but I do have hard copies that you should have received. But if it's easier and more convenient for you, I can email a copy to each one of the representatives.
I know my area would like to save a tree, but that'd be more likely to get out if it was emailed. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
It's not. Thank you.
Thank you. What else?
Next for business or committee reports, David Sutherland with the Housing Authority.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to be here this evening. Address the council. The regular monthly meeting of the Housing Authority Board will be the 21st, which is a week from tomorrow, at 5:30. The meeting will be in the Allen Hogner Conference Room at the Administration Building. There'll be a real light agenda for this month's meeting. Next month, we should have several items on the agenda. We'll be preparing the FY 2010 budgets. Some of those budgets have to be approved by the board before they come to you all for consideration. So they'll take that up in May. I just wanted to mention that the National American Indian Housing Council's annual convention is next month. If any of you all might be interested, I'd be happy to get you the information on that. Just let me know. We've been fortunate so far this year with the weather-related damage. I think there was a big storm went through Veneta the other day, and our low-rent apartments were spared that. The only real damage we've had so far has been tree damage over at Westville and Stillwell. And hopefully we'll continue with that good luck. We've been hard at work on preparing for the stimulus that we've already been funded for. That's the non-competitive portion of the housing. There's some things that the contractor is going to be responsible for as far as reporting. There's things that we're going to have to be responsible for. There's some other things the contractor is going to have to do. I spoke with Diane Kelly and Ann and I this morning from Commerce and Career Services. They're preparing some training for contractors, so that's just on the horizon, and we'll also have to do some training with some of our employees. So these are requirements we haven't had to do in the past. But anyway, we're on top of that. Wasn't able to be at today's open house. For any of you all that was over there today, I hate to miss that, especially when there's snacks involved, but I had a prior commitment. But just want to let you know, if you ever need me, my office is over there, so don't hesitate to stop by and see me. With that, that's my report for the evening. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Sutherland? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next two reports are by Dave Stewart, Cherokee Nation Enterprises and Cherokee Nation Business. Evening, Mr. Stewart.
Good evening. C&E had good financial results, slightly below last year at just over $9 million. We continue to be optimistic considering the state of the economy and continue to work on cost cutting. Our employee base increased by 37. We're at 3,424 employees. We will open the first floors 5 through 15 on May the 1st at Catoosa. So that will be our first partial opening of that property, with the final being sometime in July. Our Cherokee employment is at 59% and total Native employment at about 70%. Remains about the same from previous month, and at the management level we're about the same at a total of 68.5%. Be happy to answer any questions you might have about C&E and what's going on.
Any questions for Mr. Stewart? No, continue on.
Okay. At C&B, several projects that the team is working on. The acquisition of the IT company is in its final stages, so that will conclude over the next 60 days. The economic development plan for the tribe and its businesses is at the top of the list. We held additional meetings with our industry team leaders, and we expect to move that along over the next 30 to 45 days with the nation and all the people involved. The stimulus package is also at the top of everyone's list, and we will be developing a team to work on that to see how we can integrate some of those funds with our businesses. The new market tax credit program is moving, although a little bit slow. It's very difficult to find just the right circumstances for that, but we continue to work and try to find those opportunities. The landfill is 30 to 45 days from opening, so we're anxiously awaiting to get that back after it's been on hold for a while. So about to finish the construction. Be happy to answer any questions about C&B or what's going on at
Any questions or comments? Mr. Stewart on Cherokee Nation Business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final report is Cherokee Nation Industries, Brian Collins. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Council. Let's see here. For the month of March, we had revenue of $7.6 million. We did have a loss this past month, $150,000. Basically, with the state of the economy, what we've seen, and as we keep reporting, is that the market's still uncertain. We still have certain areas within our business structures that are down quite a bit. For example, for the month of March, we had budgeted $12,900,000, and we hit $7.6 million. But again, a lot of that budgeting was done well in advance of prior to our knowledge. Since that time, though, over the last several months, we've been working on leaning, and you've possibly even, sometimes employees, I want to bring this up, sometimes employees, they start getting worried about jobs. And I know I've had conversations with a few of you on that. We're doing everything possible to look at where we're leaning out and making our processes more cost-effective overall. So I just want to let you know that when it comes time for that, it is a very difficult situation sometimes. But I wanted to kind of let you know what we're doing about it. The forecast from this last month is about $20,000 within what we had forecasted in our cash flow. So the efficiencies in A&D have greatly increased, and that has really cut down a lot of the costs. As you've seen some of the past months that were $250,000 or $300,000, it's coming down, and I'm very optimistic in that area. Some of the things that we've got going on, because part of mainly the shortfall has been in construction. The HUD project in Oklahoma City for the apartment complex, we're targeting mid-May for that to start. Mulgi project, design build, there's a $5 million for early May. And we just received approximately a $10 million nursing contract, which is be a good profit margin. We also have, with our new acquisition with Red Wing, we have several quotes coming in from some of our customer base. As an example, the Red Wing on the machine shop approximately had 120 to 150 active contracts or part numbers that they were machining. The Sikorsky relationship, we're in the process of quoting on 6,000 part numbers. Okay, huge. We've had to pull in 3 other companies to assist us with that from a standpoint of quoting all the different variations of machine shop necessities. It's a huge contract opportunity for us. Within Huntsville, the Army is, we've accepted it's gone through the SBA acceptance of getting an IDIQ award, and we're in the process of reviewing task orders and beginning the negotiation process with them. That is a huge potential contract for a cost plus, and I'll give more details as it gets closer. Again, there's several good things. I'm very optimistic we're going to get this thing back to black, and we were targeting for in the spring or late spring to have things getting closer to being in the positive each month. Local employment, we're running 479 with an 82% Native American content. Tomorrow I'll be receiving an award on behalf of CNI for the Economic Development Partnership Award with NSU from the Board of Regents in Oklahoma City. And then the other thing I'd like you to mark your calendar on is June the 20th is CNI's 40th. June 16th is the 40th anniversary. The following Saturday, the 20th, we're going to have a 40-year celebration. And there'll be invitations going out, and I'd really like for everybody to attend. And again, that kind of sums up the report. Again, I do appreciate it and appreciate your patience, and we are making a lot of progress.
Ms. Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm excited to hear about the opportunities that Red Wing is bringing to the table with our already existing relationships. Is there an opportunity for any of those parts to actually be manufactured in the Cherokee Nation, since Red Wing itself is outside of the tribe?
I would think so. I mean, basically, the whole process, the whole reason of buying Red Wing was to develop the integration, a 34-year-old company coming in, so we can start looking at how to grow that. Some of the other companies, I'd have to think, some of the other companies that we are inquiring on might be within the Cherokee Nation footprint. Not positive on that. I do know that one of the companies has a lot of Cherokee employees, though.
And just one other question. I assume your staff will email us tomorrow to our staff on the calendar notice, so it'll get on our calendar.
June 20th, yes.
Sooner rather than later. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions? Mr. Collins? Thank you for the report.
Okay.
Next order of business are announcements. Do we have any announcements? Yes, Ms. Coates?
I
I want to announce for those who may be watching over the internet at this time that we've got the California picnics in Northern and Central California are coming up on the first weekend of May. On May 2nd, on Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Bakersfield, California, at Yokuts Park. And then on Sunday, May 3rd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Suisun City at Rush Ranch, which is about halfway between the San Francisco Bay Area and Sacramento. These are co-sponsored with Cherokee satellite organizations that exist in each of those regions. They've done a lot of hard work to get these picnics underway, and I also want to commend Frida Van here at the Cherokee Nation, who has taken the lead on the preparations from this side as well. So everybody come out for those events if you're out there in California in those areas. I'd also like to announce a smaller event that on May 9th in Albuquerque, there will be a traditional Cherokee hog fry for the first time, sponsored by the Cherokee Southwest Township in that region. So if you're in the Albuquerque area, come out for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Soap.
Yes, I have an announcement, Madam Speaker. I would like to recognize the Pryor Junior High Native American Heritage Club. They're in the audience tonight. And I would just like to announce that I'm very proud of this group. They've been participating in various activities that expose them to tribal government activities, state government activities, and local government activities. And one of the activities that they've recently been involved in is petitioning for a name change of a local creek in Mays County. And the name of the creek was Squaw Creek. And it's one that, for this region, you can debate whether it's an endearing term or a disparaging term, and that still goes on today, I think, across this nation. But in any event, this group petitioned the county commissioners for a name change. They met with the county commissioners today, and at this point in time, I believe it's going forward to the state legislature for some type of approval and acknowledgement. So I'd just like to acknowledge these students. I'm very proud of them, and they're very active, so thank you.
Would you like to stand so we can tell how many there are? Mr. Soap, did you want any of them to say anything?
No, but I think that there may be one future legislature there. I know the gentleman, Mr. Bark, that wrote the letter, he'd done a really fine job, and I was really impressed with his literature skills, so he done really good. Everybody else was really quick to sign their name to his work.
Oh, so. Right. And you did notice they're from Mays County. Mr. Hoskin, did you have a comment?
And Councilman Soap, if they're quick to sign their name to other people's work, they may be good.
That's what I was
The Coffeyville Community College Native American Leadership is a wonderful program at Coffeyville Community College. They're going to have a leadership social dance April 18th this year at 7 p.m. open to the public at the Coffeyville Gym.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Baker?
Speaker. I'd like to announce that 2 weeks ago, President Obama signed into law the Omnibus Land Bill, which created additional routes for the Trail of Tears National Historic Site. It actually doubled the size, almost 2,000 miles now, and encompasses all of the routes that were involved in our forced removal. Previously, there was only a couple of segments. So now, thanks to Congressman Zach Wamp of Chattanooga, Tennessee area, who sponsored this bill and pushed it for the last several years, it's finally come to pass.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Ms. Count-Watts?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I forget, I think that Councilman Baker, Jack Baker, should be commended for all his work, and I believe Justice Troy Wayne Petit is the Vice President, right, of National Trail of Tears, and Chief Smith and a number of different staff that have worked hard on the Trail of Tears legislation. And Dwayne King, I would be remiss without Dwayne, actually. I don't know what I was thinking. And Dwayne is our new Executive Director of the Gilcrease Museum in Tulsa, and we're honored to have you home, Dwayne. Thank you for coming back. I know that Councilman Soap was not in any way trying to overlook his beautiful wife. So I'd like to acknowledge Sylvia up there because I have a feeling she's an instigator in that whole group, is my guess. So, and Chris just helped stirs the pot. So, but I just want to publicly thank everyone. There's a number of people, Chief Smith, a number of people in the community, a number of the staff in environmental services and geodata. On May 8th, I will be pursuing my ceremony for my PhD, and I will be walking at Oklahoma State University on the evening of May 8th, and I welcome everybody. I won't defend likely until May for all the doctors in the room, and technically meet graduate college deadlines for August graduation, but that ceremony is May 8th, and I appreciate the Chief's support and the tribe's support. My PhD is in biosystems engineering on numerical nutrient criteria supporting Cherokee Nation's culturally significant waters. And I'm looking at total phosphorus, total nitrogen, and chlorophyll A response in our rivers and streams that are considered important to our communities, and challenging the Oklahoma Scenic Rivers standard of 37 micrograms. I don't even know, but anyway, I'm in the middle of trying to defend, so I won't go any further, but I just appreciate that, and this has been a 4.5 year process while I've been on tribal council and juggling those duties, and the National Science Foundation Fellowship and the tribe's support made that possible, and I just want to thank everyone.
Congratulations, Ms. Kamowitz. Any other announcements? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. And